This afternoon we're going to be speaking to the ambassador of Netherlands to Uganda, and we have very specific questions to a historic day in the politics and culture of the Dutch people, which is King's Day. It's celebrated every year on 27th. Ambassador, what's the significance of King's Day?
On King's Day we do exactly what it says. We celebrate the birthday of our monarch, of our king, Willem-Alexander. He will be celebrating his 52nd birthday this year. It is the one day in the year where all the Dutch people become a little bit patriotic. They will all be dressed and donned in orange, and the whole country will be flooded with festivities, concerts, sports events, dance parties and what have you. So for the Dutch it's really more than in many other countries. It's a big celebration of our national pride and of the House of Orange.
This day is largely steeped in the liberal uprising in the 1880s. How did this underpin the values of reconciliation and unity in your country, and what can we learn from that?
The House of Orange, the monarchy, is much older than that, but you are referring to a period when it transformed from an absolute monarchy into a constitutional monarchy. And this means that the king is the head of state, but he only has a ceremonial function. And the political responsibility lies where it should be, with the politicians, the Prime Minister and his ministers, and Parliament, of course. And so, in a way, this is also a way to celebrate that separation of powers, if you will. We are very proud of our monarchy and of our royal family, but they don't have any political role to play anymore.
What can we learn from, what began in Europe and has since evolved into, the doctrine of the separation of powers, free media, free speech, and all these things that underpin the values of democracy?
I think it is all about checks and balances. If your systems are robust enough, the democracy will prevail. And so the separation of powers between the executive, parliament and the judiciary is a very important one. And I think that wherever you are in the world, whether it's in Africa or in Europe or somewhere else, that is the underpinning of a stable democracy. And I think that African leaders see that. In the Netherlands, for instance, there is no limit to how many times a prime minister can be prime minister. Our current prime minister has been in this role for almost 10 years, and this is the 4th cabinet that he leads. As long as there is these checks and balances, and as long as power is controlled by other parts of the trias politica.
The Dutch embassy in Kampala is giving quite a lot of support in, various sectors, including farming, the justice, law and order sector. How do you dovetail that support with ensuring that Uganda continues to espouse the values of democracy?
Our support in the agricultural sector is mainly with an economic view, in order to make farmers earn a better income. Our support to the JLOS sector is, you could say, support for rule of law. It is an important sector. There are issues within the sector. We work very well with the Chief Justice and others in the JLOS sector. The fact that there is a JLOS sector in Uganda is quite unique. There are not many countries where all these institutions in the JLOS sector work together in a formal way like they do here in Uganda. So they have an advantage there. And we try to help. I mean, we cannot change the country. But for instance, in the past few years, we have put quite a bit of effort in trying to reduce the case backlog in the judiciary. And we're seeing some encouraging results in that.
My last question: Uganda is quite a nascent democracy. We are learning from the West, but we live at a time when there's the rise of illiberal democracy, even in Western countries. We live at a time when we have populist authoritarians taking power. How can we ensure that we can consolidate the few gains that we have as a country?
Rise in populism all over the world, but we also see that the traditional politics is still in place in many countries. My country is not immune to populism, but I always say that more than 85% of the people still vote for those parties who have been handling politics based on facts, figures, scientific research and all that. And so I think it is important for those people in those countries who wish to progress in the world to take that example and to move in that direction as well, and not to be lured into a false reality that is sometimes put before them by those false prophets, I would say, the people who will try to convince you that some people do not belong in a country and others do, who have those opinions. I hope that that tendency can be reversed.
We've been speaking to the Netherlands ambassador to Uganda this afternoon, and we wish you a pleasant King's Day anniversary.
Thank you.